Hello, friend. Welcome back. I am so very glad that you have found your way here to me once again, at the end of whatever kind of day you have had. It is time now to put it all down. The day is done. The tasks are finished, or they are set aside for another time. And right now, in this very moment, there is absolutely nothing left that you need to do. There is nowhere else you need to be. You have arrived at the only place that matters right now. A place of quiet, a place of warmth, and a place of absolute safety. So, I ask you to make yourself as comfortable as you possibly can. If your lights are still on, perhaps you might reach out and dim them, or turn them off completely, allowing the soft, forgiving darkness to enter your room. Pull your blankets up a little higher, around your shoulders. Arrange your pillows so that they cradle your head perfectly. Take all the time you need to make these small adjustments. The world outside your window is always rushing, always hurrying from one moment to the next. But in here, we do not rush. We have all the time in the world. As you settle into your bed, I want you to bring your attention to your body, just for a moment. Notice the places where you are holding on to the tension of the day. It is so easy to carry the weight of the modern world in our muscles without even realizing it. Bring your awareness to your jaw. Gently, softly, allow it to unench. Let your teeth part just a fraction, and let your tongue fall away from the roof of your mouth. Feel the sudden release of pressure in your temples and behind your eyes. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears, sinking heavy and deep into the mattress beneath you. Feel the gravity of the earth pulling you down, anchoring you, holding you safe. You are supported, you are secure. Let that feeling of heavy, warm relaxation travel down through your arms, past your elbows, all the way to your fingertips. Let it flow down your back, releasing the tight muscles along your spine, down through your hips, your legs, your knees, all the way down to the very tips of your toes. Now together, let us take a deep, slow breath in. Draw the air in through your nose, feeling the cool expansion in your chest, filling your lungs completely, holding it for just a heartbeat, and then, slowly, gently, let it go. Exhale deeply, pushing out all the stale air, all the lingering worries, all the noise of the day. Let us do that once more. A long, deep breath in, gathering up any remaining thoughts that do not serve you tonight, and exhale, blowing them away like dust on a gentle breeze. Allow your breathing to find its own natural, effortless rhythm now. You do not need to control it anymore. Just observe the gentle rise and fall of your chest, a rhythmic, comforting motion that is as natural as the turning of the tides. The modern world is a loud and demanding place. It is filled with glowing screens, harsh lights, traffic, and endless lists of things to do. It asks so much of you. But tonight, we are going to leave all of that behind. We are going to close the door on the 21st century and walk away. Imagine all the bright, artificial lights of your day slowly fading out, like candles being gently snuffed one by one. The noise of the cars on the street, the hum of electricity, the ringing of phones, all of it begins to soften, blending together into a distant, gentle murmur, until it fades away entirely into silence. You are stepping out of the fast-moving river of modern time and stepping onto a quiet, forgotten shore. We are going to travel backward, you and I. We are drifting away from the present, floating gently on the currents of time, moving back through the decades, back through the centuries, to a time when the world moved at a much slower, much quieter pace. The air around you is changing. The sharp, metallic scents of the city are dissolving, replaced by the rich, earthy aromas of an older world. The electric lights have vanished completely, and the only illumination is the warm, organic glow of firelight and moonlight. We are travelling to 19th century England. We are travelling to the ancient, dreaming spires of Oxford. You do not need to open your eyes to know that you have arrived. You can feel it. You are no longer lying in your bed in the modern world. You are sitting in a heavy, high-backed wooden chair, and the upper half of your body is slumped forward. Your eyes are gently closed, heavy with the deeply satisfying weight of natural exhaustion. You have fallen asleep at your desk. You have been studying, reading long into the evening, and sleep simply overtook you like a soft, heavy blanket draped over your shoulders. Feel the physical sensations of this moment. The side of your face is resting directly against the smooth, cool surface of a massive oak desk. You can feel the intricate grain of the wood pressing softly against your cheek. It is a desk that has been sitting in this exact spot for hundreds of years. The wood is dense and unyielding, yet strangely comforting, polished to a glass-like smoothness by generations of scholars who have rested their hands, their elbows, and their heavy heads upon it just as you are doing now. It smells faintly of beeswax polish and old, dry timber, a deeply grounding scent that speaks of permanence and quiet study. Beneath your cheek, acting as a makeshift pillow, is the sleeve of your jacket. It is made of thick, heavy wool, a dark, muted tweed that holds the warmth of your own body. The coarse, woven texture of the wool scratches ever so slightly against your skin, a tactile reminder of the chilly dampness of the English evening outside, and the cozy, insulating warmth you have cultivated inside this room. You are wearing layers of cotton and wool, the traditional attire of a Victorian academic, garments designed not for the rapid movements of modern life, but for long, still hours spent sitting in drafty, stone-walled colleges. Take a slow breath in and let the scent of this room fill your senses. It is a highly specific, intoxicating aroma. It is the scent of an ancient library at night. The air is thick with the smell of old paper, not the thin, bright white paper you might know from your own time, but heavy, fibrous rag paper. It smells dry, dusty, and faintly sweet, like dried grass and vanilla. Mingled with the paper is the rich, dark scent of leather bindings. Hundreds and hundreds of books surround you, their worn leather spines giving off a comforting, animal warmth. There is also the sharp, metallic tang of iron gall ink drying in a brass well nearby, and the lingering, smoky fragrance of an aloe candle that has recently burned down to its end. Your eyes are still closed, but you can sense the quality of the light in the room through your eyelids. It is not dark, but it is deeply, profoundly dim. Against the darkness of your closed eyes, you can perceive a faint, shifting amber glow. It is the light from the hearth. Just a few feet away from your desk, a coal and wood fire is slowly burning down to embers in a large stone fireplace. The light it casts is weak, painting the room in deep, shifting shadows and warm shades of orange and gold. You can feel the gentle, radiant heat of the fire warming the side of your body, creating a perfect balance against the cool draft that occasionally slips through the leaded glass window behind you. Listen to the sounds of this space. They are so few and so quiet, but they are incredibly rich in detail. First, there is the sound of your own breathing, deep, slow, and rhythmic. It is the sound of a body completely at rest, a body that has surrendered to sleep. Then, there is the fire. It is not roaring or crackling loudly. It is past that stage. It is merely whispering. Every few moments, there is a soft, muffled click as a piece of coal settles, or a tiny, delicate hiss as a pocket of sap in the wood finally gives way to the heat. It is a hypnotic, irregular rhythm that draws you deeper into a state of calm. Beyond the immediate sounds of the fire and your breath, you become aware of the sheer silence of the building itself. You are inside one of the oldest colleges in Oxford. The walls surrounding you are made of solid, ancient limestone, feet thick. They are walls that have stood firm against centuries of rain, wind, and history. They block out the world entirely. You can feel the mass of the stone, the heavy, silent protection it offers. You are in a private study, high up in a corner turret of the quadrangle, completely isolated from anyone else. There are no neighbours to hear, No traffic in the streets, no voices carrying on the wind. The silence is not empty. It is thick, heavy, and deeply peaceful. It is a silence that invites you to rest. Occasionally, the profound quiet is softly broken by the weather outside. A gentle, persistent English rain has begun to fall. You can hear it pattering against the thick, diamond-paned glass of your window. The drops hit the glass with a soft, dull rhythm, a muted tapping that only emphasizes the warmth and dryness of your sanctuary inside. The wind sighs softly around the stone corners of the building, a low, moaning sound that makes you want to snuggle deeper into the heavy wool of your jacket. The contrast between the cold, wet night outside and your warm, firelit study is exquisite. It makes the safety of the room feel absolute. And then, rolling across the damp night air, comes the sound of the college clock tower. It is located across the quadrangle, yet the sound seems to reach you from a great distance. It does not startle you. It is a deep, resonant bronze chime, one single, drawn-out note. It strikes the quarter hour. The sound vibrates through the heavy mist, passes through the thick stone walls, and arrives in your study as a soft, comforting hum that you feel in your chest as much as you hear with your ears. The chime slowly fades away, leaving the silence feeling even deeper than before. In this place, time is not a master rushing you forward. Time is just a gentle companion, marking the quiet passage of the night while you rest safely in its embrace. You remain slumped over your desk, your face resting on the ancient oak, bathed in the warmth of the dying fire. The modern world is completely gone. You are here in the quiet heart of the 19th century, surrounded by the heavy, comforting scent of old books and wood smoke. You are entirely safe. There is nothing expected of you. The entire college is sleeping, and you are tucked away in your stone fortress, a quiet scholar lost in a peaceful dream. Allow yourself to sink fully into this moment. Feel the heavy, pleasant lethargy in your limbs. Let the slow ticking embers of the fire lull you further down. You are deeply relaxed, deeply calm, and exactly where you are meant to be. Take another long, slow breath in, inhaling the scent of the leather and the ancient dust, and exhale, letting yourself sink even deeper into the heavy oak of the desk. The night is long, the fire is warm, and you have nothing to do but rest. As you rest there, breathing in the quiet, the physical reality of the room around you seems to wrap itself around your shoulders like a heavy, protective cloak. You are suspended in a state of perfect, lingering twilight between wakefulness and deep sleep. A state where the boundaries of your own body seem to softly blur into the ancient wood and stone of the study. Your cheek remains pressed against the smooth, unyielding surface of the massive oak desk. It is a deeply grounding sensation. At first, the wood had felt cool against your skin, a bracing contrast to the warmth of the fire. But now, the oak has absorbed the gentle heat of your resting face. It returns that warmth to you, creating a small, perfect pocket of comfort. If you were to gently slide your cheek just a fraction of an inch, you would feel the incredibly subtle, microscopic ridges of the oak's grain. This desk is not a product of modern, flawless manufacturing. It is a piece of history, carved from a massive English oak that likely stood in a quiet forest centuries before this college was even built. The surface is uneven in the most beautiful, imperceptible ways, worn down into shallow, smooth depressions where generations of scholars have rested their arms, turned the heavy pages of their books, and perhaps, just like you, surrendered to the heavy pull of sleep late in the evening. The wood has been polished so many times, year after year, decade after decade, by the diligent hands of the college servants. They have rubbed thick, fragrant beeswax deep into the grain, feeding the wood, protecting it, and giving it a deep, rich luster that seems to hold its own internal light. That scent of beeswax is ever present, hovering just above the surface of the desk. It is a warm, golden, organic aroma, sweet and earthy, mingling intimately with the faint metallic tang of the ink lingering in your brass inkwell and the dry, powdery scent of the parchment scattered loosely around your resting arms. Every breath you take draws in this history. You are breathing in the quiet diligence of the past, the slow, methodical work of minds that have long since gone to rest, leaving behind only the peaceful atmosphere of their endeavours. The room around you is a sanctuary, a private fortress built of thick, pale Oxford limestone. These walls are immensely thick, designed in an era when buildings were made to outlast empires. They are rough-hewn on the outside, facing the elements, but here, on the inside, they are plastered and panelled in dark, warm wood that stretches almost to the ceiling. The sheer mass of the stone serves a magnificent purpose tonight. It acts as an absolute barrier against the damp, chilly English night that presses against the glass. The stone absorbs the silence, insulating you completely from the outside world. There is a profound sense of weight and permanence to this room. It does not vibrate with the passing of carriages or the distant sounds of the town. It stands perfectly still, an immovable anchor in the rushing river of time. In the corner of the room, providing the only source of light, is the stone hearth. The fire has been burning for many hours, slowly consuming the thick logs of seasoned wood and the dark, heavy lumps of coal that were laid in the grate before the sun went down. Now the fire has passed its roaring, energetic stage. It has settled into a slow, hypnotic, and deeply comforting decline. The flames have retreated, leaving behind a glowing, shifting mountain of embers. These embers pulse with a deep, cherry red and vibrant, molten orange heat buried beneath a soft, powdery blanket of pale grey ash. The heat radiating from the hearth is not harsh or demanding. It is a gentle, pervasive warmth that slowly rolls across the floorboards, climbs up the legs of your wooden chair, and wraps around your woolen garments. It is the kind of heat that seeps deeply into your muscles, encouraging them to release their last, stubborn hold on the tensions of the day. Every few minutes, as the embers slowly consume themselves, the structure of the fire shifts. A piece of charred wood will gently give way, collapsing inward with a soft, muffled crunch, sending a tiny, lazy shower of orange sparks drifting upward into the dark, soot-stained throat of the chimney. Listen to the sounds of the dying fire. It is a quiet, erratic symphony, a low, sporadic pop as a pocket of trapped air escapes from a log, a delicate, breathy hiss as a tiny droplet of sap finally succumbs to the heat. Then, long stretches of absolute, heavy silence, where the only sound in the room is the rhythmic, deep pulling of your own breath. The light cast by these embers is incredibly soft and forgiving. It does not illuminate the room evenly. Instead, it paints the study in rich, shifting tones of amber and deep, velvety shadow. The firelight reaches out across the worn, uneven floorboards, throwing long, exaggerated shadows of the chair legs across the faded patterns of the Persian rug. This rug is a masterpiece of faded glory, covering the center of the room to keep the draught at bay. Its colors, once vibrant crimsons, deep indigos, and bright golds, have been muted by decades of sunlight and the tread of countless leather boots. Now, in the dim firelight, it looks like a dark, intricate tapestry woven directly into the floor. The thick pile of the wool absorbs any sound, ensuring that even when you do eventually wake and move about the room, your footsteps will be entirely silent, swallowed by the heavy, comforting fabrics that decorate the space. As the faint, amber light travels upward, it catches on the most striking feature of the room, the books. The walls of your study, from the top of the wooden wainscoting all the way to the heavy plaster mouldings of the ceiling, are lined with massive, custom-built oak bookshelves. These shelves are bowing ever so slightly under the immense, accumulated weight of knowledge and history. There are hundreds, perhaps thousands, a volume surrounding you. They stand shoulder to shoulder, a silent, patient audience keeping watch over your rest. The books abound in heavy, textured materials, thick calfskin, dark Morocco leather, and sturdy, woven cloth. The leather spines are rich in colour, deep burgundies, forest greens, chocolate browns, and midnight blues, though the dim light reduces them all to comforting, warm shades of darkness. The firelight occasionally catches the faint glimmer of gold leaf, illuminating a faded title or a raised band on a leather spine. The physical presence of these books is staggering. They act as another layer of insulation, their dense pages of fibrous rag paper absorbing the chill of the walls and holding the warmth of the room within their covers. The aroma of the books is a physical presence in the room, a deeply comforting fragrance that has been maturing for decades, if not centuries. It is the dry, earthy scent of aging paper, a smell that carries faint, sweet notes of vanilla, dried grass, and old dust, mingling intimately with the heavier, richer musk of cured leather bindings and the faint, lingering trace of wood glue. It is the smell of quiet contemplation, of long, uninterrupted hours spent in the pursuit of understanding. It is a smell that instantly lowers your heart rate and tells your mind that you are in a place where only slow, deliberate thoughts are allowed. Behind your chair, set deeply into the thick limestone wall, is the tall arched window that looks out over the college quadrangle. Because the walls are so thick, the window sits inside a deep alcove, almost like a small room of its own. The glass is not a single, clear pane, but a beautiful, intricate matrix of small, diamond-shaped pieces of leaded glass. The glass is old, slightly warped, and thicker at the bottom of the panes than at the top. It distorts the outside world, turning the sharp lines of the stone buildings across the courtyard into soft, wavering, dreamlike shapes. Condensation has gathered on the inside of the glass, born from the contrast between the toasty, firelit warmth of your study and the biting, damp chill of the November night outside. The moisture forms tiny, silvery beads that occasionally merge and trace slow, erratic paths down the lead lines, catching the faint, ghostly light of the moon that is struggling to push through the rain clouds. The rain continues its gentle, rhythmic tapping against the glass, a soft, muted drumming that is nature's own lullaby. It is a sound that emphasizes your safety. You are inside, you are warm, you are dry. The weather can only sing to you through the glass. It cannot touch you. To completely banish the cold, the window is framed by immense, heavy drapery. These are not merely decorative curtains. They are thick, plush, dark green velvet, lined with heavy cotton and designed to entirely block out the drafts that inevitably seek to slip through the leaded glass. The curtains have been drawn almost entirely shut for the evening, leaving only a narrow sliver of the window exposed to the night. The velvet is incredibly dense. If you were to reach out and run your hand down the fabric, your fingers would sink into the plush pile, feeling the deeply satisfying, heavy texture of the material. The dark green of the velvet is so deep that in this dim light it appears almost black, a rich, absorbing darkness that seems to swallow the shadows. The fabric pools elegantly on the floor beneath the window sill, a thick, luxurious barrier against the cold stone. The firelight occasionally dances across the surface of the velvet, highlighting the soft sheen of the fabric and the thick, golden tassels that hang heavily from the silken tie-backs. The curtains give the room the feeling of a deeply padded, totally secure cocoon. Let your mind wander slowly back to the center of the room, back to the desk, back to your own resting body. The air in the study is heavy and still, fragrant with the beeswax, the ancient paper, and the comforting, smoky signature of the dying fire. The room breathes with you, the gentle pop of the embers, the soft drumming of the rain, the deep, heavy silence of the stone walls. They are all part of a single, tranquil harmony. There is no urgency here, There is no rushing. The books on the shelves have waited centuries to be read. They can wait another night. The letters on your desk do not demand immediate attention. They are simply paper and ink, resting as quietly as you are. You are entirely enveloped in the atmosphere of this forgotten time. The 19th century moves at the speed of a horse-drawn carriage, at the speed of a handwritten letter, at the speed of a burning candle. It is a pace that allows for long, slow evenings, for deep, uninterrupted thought, and for the simple but profound pleasure of falling asleep in a warm room while the rain falls outside. You do not need to move. You do not need to wake. You can simply exist in this perfect amber-lit moment, feeling the heavy, comforting weight of the velvet curtains, the enduring strength of the oak desk beneath your cheek, and the absolute, unwavering safety of the stone walls that surround you. Every breath you take in this room draws you deeper into relaxation. The air is warm and dry, perfectly conditioned by the steady, slow-burning fire. As you exhale, imagine your breath joining the gentle drafts of the room, swirling slowly up toward the high, plaster ceiling, mixing with the faint wisps of wood smoke and the sweet, dry dust of the ancient library. You are a natural part of this environment. You belong in this quiet, scholarly sanctuary. The clock in the distant tower remains silent for now. The world, outside the heavy, green velvet curtains, is asleep, wrapped in a blanket of dark mist and cold rain. The world inside your study is a haven of warmth, soft light, and deeply comforting textures. The smooth, cool grain of the wood, the soft, scratching warmth of the wool on your arm, the heavy plush velvet blocking the cold, the dry, brittle edges of the parchment nearby. Your senses are bathed in a slow, continuous stream of calm, reassuring information. There is a profound comfort in knowing that this room will not change. The walls will remain strong. The books will remain silent. The desk will remain firm. The fire will slowly, gently burn itself down to soft grey ash, casting a weaker, but ever warmer glow as the night progresses. You are held in the palm of this ancient building, completely protected from the demands of the future and the regrets of the past. You are anchored in the deep, slow present of the 19th century. Allow the heavy, quiet atmosphere of the space to press down upon you like a perfectly weighted blanket, easing every muscle, calming every thought, and guiding you gently, slowly, inevitably toward the deepest, most restful sleep you have ever known. And it is from within the embrace of that perfectly weighted blanket of atmosphere that you find yourself slowly, effortlessly drifting back toward a gentle state of waking. It is not a sudden awakening. There is no alarm, no rush of adrenaline, no jarring interruption to your peace. It is, instead, like a leaf slowly detaching from a branch and drifting lazily down to the surface of a quiet pond. You rise through the layers of your sleep with a deeply pleasant sluggishness, your mind becoming gently aware of the room once more before your body even attempts to move. The fire in the stone hearth is still casting its warm, amber glow against your closed eyelids. The rain is still tapping its soft, muted rhythm against the thick leaded glass of the window behind you. The world has not changed. It has patiently waited for you. You take a long, deep breath, and you can feel the slow, steady expansion of your lungs beneath the heavy wool of your jacket. The air is still rich with the scent of beeswax, old paper, and the sweet, lingering trace of wood smoke. Slowly, with no sense of urgency whatsoever, you decide to lift your head. The movement requires a wonderful, deliberate effort. Your neck muscles, having relaxed completely during your slumber, stretch with a deep, satisfying dullness as you peel your cheek away from the smooth, polished surface of the oak desk. As your head rises, a rush of slightly cooler air touches the side of your face that had been warmed by the wood, creating a beautifully soothing contrast. If you were to look in a mirror, you would likely see the faint, temporary imprint of the oak's ancient grain pressed lightly into your skin, a physical memory of your rest. You push your shoulders back, sinking into the high, sturdy backrest of your wooden chair. The old joints of the chair groan ever so softly under your shifting weight, a low, familiar creak that sounds like a murmur of welcome. You let your arms fall heavily to your sides for a moment, rolling your shoulders, feeling the thick, coarse fabric of your tweed jacket shifting over your cotton shirt. Every movement you make is slow, muted, and perfectly in tune with the profound quiet of the study. You open your eyes, your vision delightfully blurred at first, adjusting slowly to the dim golden twilight of the room. The firelight flickers gently, casting long, swaying shadows across the walls, making the floor-to-ceiling bookshelves look like a dark, protective forest surrounding your sanctuary. Directly in front of you, sitting on the massive expanse of the desk, is the solitary reading candle that had illuminated your studies earlier in the evening. It is a thick, cream-coloured pillar of natural beeswax, set firmly in a heavy, tarnished silver candlestick. The candle has burned down considerably while you slept. The flame is small now, but perfectly steady in the still air of the room, burning with a pure, golden brilliance that illuminates a tight circle of space around it. At the base of the black, curling wick, a shallow pool of melted wax shimmers like liquid gold. The heat of the flame releases the faint, undeniably sweet fragrance of honey and summer flowers, a delicate aroma that cuts perfectly through the heavier, musty scents of the ancient library. You look down at the surface of your desk, bathed in this soft, golden light. It is cluttered with the evidence of a long, thoughtful evening. Scattered sheets of thick parchment, a heavy, open textbook, your steel-nibbed dip pen, and the solid brass inkwell. There is a deep, innate satisfaction in looking at this small, organized chaos. It represents work done, knowledge sought, and time well spent. But the time for work has entirely passed. The deep, heavy quiet of the 19th century night is gently insisting that it is time to put these things away. It is time to clear the space, to clear your mind, and to prepare for your true, final rest in your bed. You begin the mundane, beautiful routine of clearing your desk. There is no need to hurry. In fact, you find yourself deliberately slowing down, turning each tiny motion into a mindful, meticulous ritual. You raise your right hand, feeling the pleasant, lingering heaviness in your forearm, and reach out toward the pen resting near the edge of the parchment. Your fingers wrap around the slender shaft of the dip pen. The wood is a polished mahogany, smooth and slightly cool against your skin, tapering perfectly to balance the weight of the metal nib. You lift it, feeling its incredibly light, delicate presence in your hand. The steel nib is stained a deep, dark blue-black, the residue of the iron gall ink you were using hours ago. Beside the inkwell lies a small, square piece of dark chamois cloth, stained with countless overlapping blooms of dried ink. You pick up the cloth with your left hand. The material is incredibly soft, worn down by years of constant use, until it feels almost like velvet. You bring the cloth to the steel nib and gently pinch the metal between your thumb and forefinger. You slowly pull the cloth down the length of the nib, wiping away the dark, drying residue. As you do, you can hear a very faint, microscopic squeak of friction, a sound so tiny it is almost entirely absorbed by the silence of the room. You wipe the pen a second time, applying just a little more pressure, ensuring the steel is clean and dry so it will not rust in the damp English air. You can smell the sharp, metallic, slightly acidic tang of the ink as you clean it, a scent that speaks of focused concentration and the quiet scratching of thoughts onto paper. When you are satisfied, you lay the mahogany pen down into the carved, shallow wooden groove at the top of your desk. It settles into its resting place with a soft, hollow clack, a sound that signals the definitive end of your writing for the day. Next, your attention moves to the heavy brass inkwell, sitting near the candlestick. It is a beautiful, utilitarian object, cast from solid brass that has oxidized over the decades into a dull, rich bronze. The base is wide and heavy, designed to never tip over, even if a stack of heavy books were dropped nearby. The lid is open, propped back on its sturdy hinge, revealing the small, dark pool of ink within. The surface of the ink catches the candlelight, reflecting it back as a tiny, perfect, inverted flame suspended in absolute darkness. You extend your hand and place your index finger gently against the underside of the brass lid. The metal is completely cold, holding the ambient temperature of the stone walls rather than the warmth of the fire. You begin to close it. You do not simply flip it shut. You push it forward with a slow, deliberate pressure, feeling the perfect oiled resistance of the hinge. You watch as the brass lid descends, slowly eclipsing the tiny reflection of the candle flame in the ink. The gap narrows, and then the heavy metal lid meets the brass rim of the base. The sound it makes is exquisite. It is a soft, dull, metallic click. It is not sharp. It does not echo. It is a heavy, definitive sound, muffled by the sheer density of the brass. Click. With that one simple sound, the ink is sealed away in the dark, safe from the air, waiting patiently for the next time it will be called upon to record a thought. The desk already feels calmer, quieter, and more settled. Your eyes drift to the scattered sheets of parchment. Resting in the golden circle of candlelight, there are perhaps half a dozen pages, covered in your own neat, sloping handwriting. The ink has dried completely, turning from a wet, shiny blue to a deep, matte, permanent black. The paper itself is magnificent. It is not modern, machine-made paper. It is heavy, fibrous rag paper, made by hand, with slightly irregular, deckled edges that feel rough and organic beneath your fingertips. It has a beautiful, creamy colour, like old ivory, which softens the harsh contrast of the black ink. You reach out with both hands and begin to gather the pages. You place your fingertips gently on the surface of the top sheet and slide it over the one beneath it. As the two sheets of thick, textured paper slide against one another, they produce a wonderful, highly specific sound. It is a dry, satisfying whisper, a soft, rushing shh. That sounds like dry autumn leaves being moved by a gentle breeze. You gather the next page and the whisper repeats shh. You slide the next one. Shh. You take your time, savouring the tactile sensation of the heavy paper and the soothing rhythmic sound of the friction. You are collecting your thoughts, gathering the day's intellectual harvest into a neat, manageable stack. Once you have all the pages in your hands, you hold them loosely and tap the bottom edges against the solid oak of the desk. Tap, tap, tap. The sound is crisp and precise. You tap the side edges. Tap, tap. You feel the satisfying squared-off alignment of the stack as all the uneven edges fall into place. The physical act of bringing order to the scattered pages is deeply relaxing. It sends a message to your brain that the chaos of the day is resolved. You open a large, worn leather portfolio resting on the corner of the desk. The interior is lined with marbled paper in swirling patterns of burgundy and gold. You place the neat stack of parchment inside. Smooth your hand over the top one last time, feeling the indentations of your own pen strokes, and fold the heavy leather cover closed. You tie the thin black silk ribbon attached to the edges, securing your work for the night. The desk is becoming increasingly bare, the expanse of the polished oak revealing itself once more beneath the warm candlelight. Now, only one major item remains in the center of your workspace. It is the textbook you had been reading before sleep overtook you. It is a massive, ancient volume, bound in thick, dark brown calfskin. It is open to the middle, lying flat upon the desk, an expanse of incredibly dense, tiny letterpress type. The margins are wide, the paper is slightly yellowed at the edges, and the sheer weight of the book commands respect. It is a vessel of deep, silent knowledge, You lean forward slightly, resting your elbows on the desk, and gaze down at the open pages. You do not read the words. Your eyes are too tired, and the room is too dim. You simply admire the geometry of the text, the beautiful, uniform blocks of black ink pressed deep into the fibers of the paper. You reach out and gently run your index finger across the page. You can actually feel the slight physical depressions left by the metal type of the printing press, a tiny, braille-like texture that connects you directly to the hands of the printer, who made this book perhaps a century ago. It is time to close it. You place your right hand beneath the thick, rigid cover of the right side of the book. Your fingers grip the edge, feeling the worn, smoothed down corners of the leather where hundreds of hands have held it before you. You begin to lift. The book is incredibly heavy. You can feel the physical resistance, the gravity pulling against the dense mass of paper and binding. As you lift the right half of the book upward, the ancient spine, resting flat against the desk, lets out a long, slow, magnificent creak. It sounds like the rigging of an old wooden ship swaying in a gentle harbour. It is the sound of leather and glue and string stretching and flexing, a deeply organic, comforting noise. You bring the right side of the book up until it is completely vertical, balancing for a brief second, casting a massive, dark shadow across the right side of the room. And then, you gently guide it over to meet the left side. As the heavy cover descends, it pushes a pocket of trapped air out from between the hundreds of pages. You feel a tiny, incredibly soft rush of air against your face, carrying with it an intensified burst of the book's aroma, the concentrated scent of dry dust, old vanilla, and cured leather. And then the covers meet. The sound is profound. It is a deep, heavy, muffled thud. It is a sound with weight and consequence, yet entirely devoid of sharpness or aggression. It is the sound of a door softly closing on a vast room of knowledge. You place both hands flat on top of the closed, dark leather cover. It is cool and smooth. You apply a gentle pressure, pushing the massive volume across the polished oak. It slides with a low, vibrating hum, gliding over the invisible layer of beeswax polish, until you guide it safely to the upper left corner of the desk, where it comes to rest with a final, quiet finality. You pull your hands back and let them rest in your lap. You sit in the heavy wooden chair, completely still, and look at the surface of your desk. It is entirely clear. The mahogany pen is resting in its groove. The brass inkwell is securely shut. The parchment is safely tied within the leather portfolio. The massive textbook is set aside. The physical space in front of you reflects the mental space within you. It is clear, quiet, and perfectly ordered. There is absolutely nothing left undone. There are no loose ends. The 19th century demands nothing more from you this evening. The quiet satisfaction of this completed routine washes over you like a gentle wave, relaxing your chest, loosening your jaw, and sinking deep into your bones. The only thing remaining on the clear expanse of the oak desk is the solitary, burning candle in its silver holder. It stands like a quiet sentinel, casting its steady, golden pool of light across the polished wood, illuminating the subtle swirls and dips of the ancient grain. The flame flickers ever so slightly as a tiny draught slips past the heavy velvet curtains, causing the shadows in the room to dance and sway in a slow, hypnotic rhythm. You reach out toward the edge of the desk, where a long, slender instrument is resting. It is a candle snuffer, made of the same dark, oxidized brass as your inkwell. It consists of a long, thin handle, ending in a small, hollow, bell-shaped cone. You pick it up. It is wonderfully light in your hand, a delicate tool designed for a single, quiet purpose. You lift the brass cone and hover it gently over the flickering flame of the beeswax candle. You do not lower it yet. You simply hold it there, suspended in the golden light. You are preparing to extinguish the only source of light on your desk. You are preparing to plunge the room into the deeper, softer shadows of the night. But you pause for a moment, simply watching the way the flame illuminates the inside of the brass bell, waiting for the perfect quiet moment to plunge the room into the peaceful dark. The heat from the flame radiates softly against the knuckles of your hand, holding the snuffer. The smell of the melting beeswax is sweet and strong. The room is utterly silent, save for the distant, muffled patter of the rain and the slow, deep rhythm of your own breathing. You are perfectly suspended in this moment of transition, hovering beautifully between the soft light of the evening and the deep, restful darkness of the night, feeling the heavy, undeniable pull of sleep, drawing you ever closer to your final rest. With emotion so slow it is almost imperceptible, you finally allow your hand to descend. The dark brass cone of the snuffer moves gracefully downward, passing through the warm air, lowering over the solitary, steady flame of the beeswax candle. The descent is smooth and perfectly controlled, a mindful, deliberate closing of the day. For a brief, beautiful fraction of a second, the golden light is confined entirely within the hollow of the brass bell. It illuminates the tarnished metal interior with a sudden, intense brilliance, glowing like a tiny, captured sun. And then, the bottom rim of the snuffer makes gentle contact with the warm, soft pool of melted wax at the base of the black wick. The seal is formed, the oxygen is cut off. In the absolute silence of the study, you can hear the tiniest, most delicate sound. It is a microscopic, muffled sizzle as the flame is instantly starved of air and extinguished in the dark. You hold the brass snuffer there for just a moment longer, ensuring the work is fully done, feeling the residual heat of the vanished fire warming the metal against your knuckles. Then, slowly, you lift the handle, raising the bell away from the candle. As the brass cone lifts, it releases a single, thin, exquisite ribbon of pale blue-grey smoke. The smoke rises in a perfectly straight line for a few inches in the still air before catching an invisible, microscopic draft, twisting and spiraling into complex, ghostly shapes that dance upward toward the high, dark ceiling. The scent of that smoke immediately fills the space around your desk. It is a sharp, distinct, and deeply nostalgic aroma. It is the smell of charred cotton wick mingling with the sweet, baked perfume of hot beeswax. It is the definitive scent of an ending, a final, fragrant signature placed at the bottom of the evening's long page. As the thin ribbon of smoke continues to rise and dissipate, your eyes begin the slow, fascinating process of adjusting to the sudden absence of the golden light. The transition is not instantaneous. For a few long, quiet moments, the room seems to have plunged into a heavy, absolute blackness, your vision swimming with the fading phantom imprint of the candle flame. But as you remain perfectly still, sitting in the heavy wooden chair, your senses expand, and the true, complex nature of the dark room reveals itself to you. It is not an empty blackness at all. It is a rich, layered tapestry of deep shadows and soft ambient glows. The room has simply shifted its mood, pulling a thick, cozy blanket of twilight over the bookshelves and the ancient stone walls. With the bright, demanding light of the candle gone, the subtle, quiet illuminations in the room suddenly step forward to make themselves known. To your right, the stone hearth, which had seemed so dim just moments ago, is now the beating, radiant heart of the study. The mound of dying embers glows with a renewed, fierce intensity against the darkness. The colours are mesmerising. Deep, velvety blacks of charred wood, cracking open to reveal veins of brilliant, molten orange and pulsing, cherry red. The fire casts a low, horizontal light that sweeps across the floorboards, painting the intricate, faded patterns of the Persian rug in warm, dusky hues. This light does not reach the ceiling. It stays low, hugging the ground, creating a deep pool of warmth that makes the room feel incredibly intimate, like a small, safe cave hollowed out of the night. You take a deep, slow breath of the cooling air, letting the darkness settle fully into your mind, and you decide that it is time to move. You place the brass snuffer gently down on the bare wood of the desk. The sound is a dull, heavy clink that sinks quickly into the heavy velvet curtains and the thick spines of the books. You press your hands flat against the cool, polished oak of the desk, feeling the solid, unyielding strength of the wood beneath your palms. With a slow, deliberate effort, you push yourself back. The legs of your heavy wooden chair slide across the thick pile of the rug with a low, muffled, scraping sound. You slowly rise to your feet. As you stand to your full height, you feel the deeply satisfying stretch in your spine, a physical unwinding of the hours spent hunched over your books. Your muscles, stiff from the long, quiet concentration, ache beautifully, reminding you of the good, honest fatigue that permeates your body. The air higher up in the room is slightly cooler, holding the chill that seeps invisibly from the massive limestone blocks of the walls. You stand completely still behind your desk for a moment, letting your equilibrium settle, simply feeling the quiet, heavy atmosphere of the study pressing gently against your shoulders. There is a profound peace in this vertical stillness. Turning slowly away from the desk, your eyes navigate the familiar geography of the dim room. You walk with slow, measured steps toward a dark corner near the door, where a tall, heavy wooden coat stand rests in the shadows. The floorboards beneath your leather-soled shoes groan softly with each step, a low, drawn-out creaking of ancient timber settling under your weight. It is a comforting sound, the building acknowledging your presence, speaking to you in the slow, wooden language of old houses. You reach your hand out into the darkness of the corner, your fingers brushing against the various garments hanging there, until you find the unmistakable, thick texture of your heavy wool shawl. You pull the shawl gently from its brass hook. The sheer weight of the garment in your hands is deeply reassuring. It is made of thick, unrefined sheep's wool, woven in a tight, dark tartan pattern that is invisible in the gloom. The wool is coarse, rough to the touch, built for endurance against the biting English damp, rather than for mere decoration. You lift the heavy fabric and swing it slowly around your back, draping it over your shoulders. As it settles against your neck and chest, it creates an instant, heavy cocoon of warmth. The wool smells faintly of cedar wood from the closet, the lanolin of the sheep, and the memory of countless wood fires from winters past. You cross your arms over your chest, pulling the edges of the shawl tightly around yourself, locking the warmth of your body inside this personal, woven fortress. Wrapped tightly in the wool, you slowly turn and begin to walk toward the tall, arched window at the far end of the room. Your footsteps are silent on the rug, and then they transition back to the slow, rhythmic creak of the bare floorboards as you approach the deep stone alcove. The alcove is set several feet into the thickness of the exterior wall, creating a small, private threshold between the warmth of your sanctuary and the cold reality of the night. As you step into this space, you can immediately feel the temperature drop. The radiant heat of the hearth cannot fully penetrate this deep into the stone, and the chill of the glass radiates gently against your face. A crisp, awakening sensation that contrasts perfectly with the heavy warmth of the shawl holding your shoulders. The window is still mostly obscured by the massive, dark green velvet curtains that were drawn tightly shut hours ago. You reach out from beneath the wool of your shawl and grasp the edge of the heavy drape. The fabric is incredibly dense, the plush pile feeling thick and luxurious beneath your fingertips. With a slow, smooth motion, you pull the curtain back just a few feet, sliding the heavy brass rings along the wooden pole above. The rings produce a dull, muted scrape, a heavy, dragging sound that emphasizes the sheer weight of the fabric, holding back the cold. As the curtain parts, the room is instantly painted in an entirely new kind of light. The warm amber glow of the hearth is met, and beautifully countered, by the sudden sweeping entrance of the moon. The rain that had been falling steadily all evening has finally begun to soften, tapering off into a microscopic floating mist. The heavy cloud cover has broken apart, revealing a massive, brilliant, silver-white moon suspended high above the spires of the college. The moonlight pours through the leaded glass of your window, casting a long, pale, silvery blue rectangle of light across the floorboards, cutting through the shadows and illuminating the dancing dust motes that hover silently in the still air. You step closer to the window, leaning your shoulder against the cold, plastered stone of the alcove, and look out through the intricate diamond panes. The glass is ancient, slightly warped, and beaded with tiny droplets of condensation on the inside, which catch the moonlight and sparkle like a constellation of tiny, cold stars. You reach out and wipe a small circle of the condensation away with the side of your hand, feeling the biting, freezing temperature of the glass, and peer down into the heart of the college. Below you lies the central quadrangle. It is a masterpiece of medieval and Gothic architecture, built centuries ago by men who carved stone with their hands, seeking to create a place of eternal, quiet reflection. In the stark, silvery light of the moon, the quadrangle looks entirely transformed. It is no longer the bustling thoroughfare of scholars and tutors that it is during the day. It has become a silent, ghostly, breathtakingly beautiful canyon of pale stone and deep ink-black shadow. The tall, pointed spires of the chapel across the courtyard rise up into the misty night sky. Their intricate stone carvings and watchful gargoyles cast in sharp, dramatic relief against the moonlight. The ground of the quadrangle is paved with thousands of irregular, rounded cobblestones. The rain has washed them clean, and now, left wet and gleaming in the moonlight, they look like a vast, rippling lake of dark silver. Tiny pools of water have gathered in the shallow depressions between stones, acting as perfect, still mirrors that reflect the pale orb of the moon and the jagged outlines of the rooftops. The fine, lingering mist rolls slowly across the ground, clinging to the damp stones, glowing softly in the lunar light, like a heavy, luminous breath exhaled by the earth itself. It is the silence of the scene that is most profound. It is a vast, heavy, architectural silence. There is absolutely no movement. Not a single soul is walking across the stones. Not a single candle burns in any of the hundreds of windows that face the courtyard. The entire college, this massive, sprawling fortress of learning, is locked in a deep, collective slumber. You are the only one awake, the solitary witness to this secret, silver-painted world. You pull the woolen shawl a fraction tighter around your neck, feeling an immense, comforting sense of isolation. You are completely alone, yet you do not feel lonely. You feel entirely secure, perched high up in your stone turret, a quiet observer safely separated from the vastness of the night. As you stand there, bathed in the pale light, leaning against the cold stone, a deep, gentle realization begins to settle over your mind, as soft and inevitable as the falling mist outside. You begin to feel the immense, comforting weight of time. You look at the worn stone of the window ledge, smoothed down by the passage of countless hands over hundreds of years. You realize, with a profound sense of peace, that you are not the first scholar to stand in this exact spot, at this exact hour of the night, seeking the quiet solace of the moon. Generations of people have stood right where you are standing. Men in the 15th century, the 16th century, the 17th century. They stood here in woolen robes, holding different books, thinking different thoughts, worrying about different wars and different kings. But they saw the exact same moon. They looked down at the exact same gleaming cobblestones. They felt the exact same chill radiating from the glass, and the exact same heavy, sleepy comfort of the fire dying in the hearth behind them. Their lives were filled with urgency and noise and stress, just as yours sometimes feels. But all of that urgency has faded away into nothingness. All their pressing worries, all their loud debates, all their fears about the future have dissolved completely into the silent, enduring stone of the walls. There is a magnificent, deeply relaxing comfort in this thought. It is the comfort of insignificance. You are just one small, quiet thread woven into an incredibly long, ancient tapestry. The modern world, with all its loud demands, its rushing clocks, and its endless anxieties, feels entirely irrelevant here. Time in this place is not a harsh taskmaster demanding your constant attention. It is a slow, wide, deeply comforting river, and you are simply floating upon it, entirely safe, held securely by the currents of history. You do not need to hold the world together. You do not need to solve the problems of the day. The stone walls have stood for centuries before you arrived, and they will stand for centuries after you are gone, silently guarding the sleep of those who seek shelter within them. You let out a long, slow, misty sigh, watching your breath fog the glass in front of you. With that breath, you release the very last, lingering remnants of tension in your mind. The ego, the sense of self that demands so much energy during the waking hours, softly dissolves into the quiet majesty of the sleeping college. You are no longer a person with a name, a history, or a list of tasks. You are simply a quiet presence, a gentle awareness, resting in the embrace of the 19th century, surrounded by the scent of old wood, the warmth of thick wool, and the pale, silent beauty of the moonlit stones. The heavy, pleasant lethargy in your limbs, which had receded slightly when you stood up, now returns with a magnificent, undeniable force. Your eyelids feel incredibly heavy, drooping downward, blurring the silver light of the window. The cold air of the alcove, once bracing, now merely serves to remind you of the immense, inviting warmth of the bed waiting for you in the corner of the room. You have done everything that needs to be done. You have cleared your desk. You have put away your tools. You have paid your respects to the night and to the quiet history that surrounds you. There is nothing left to reflect upon, nothing left to observe. You take one final, lingering look at the silver cobblestones and the dark, sleeping spires. You commit the profound stillness of the scene to your memory, a peaceful image to carry with you into your dreams. Then slowly, carefully, you reach out and grasp the edge of the heavy green, velvet curtain. You pull it back across the window, watching the moonlight narrow into a thin, bright sliver, and then vanish entirely as the two halves of the dense fabric meet in the center. The room is instantly returned to the deep, intimate darkness, lit only by the low, dying pulse of the red embers in the hearth. The cold draught is cut off, and the heavy, warm, beeswax-scented air of the study wraps around you once more. It is time at last to surrender entirely to the night. It is time to rest. With the heavy, dark green velvet curtain pulled tightly shut, once more the arched window and the silver, moonlit world outside are completely banished from your sanctuary. The cold glass, the ancient cobblestones, and the misty spires return to the realm of secrets, leaving you alone in the profound, insulated warmth of the study. You stand for a moment in the deep stone alcove, your hand still resting on the plush pile of the velvet, allowing your eyes to readjust to the exquisite, enveloping darkness of the room. It is a darkness that feels almost tangible, like a soft, heavy substance that has poured into the space, filling every corner, wrapping around every book, and settling gently over your shoulders. The only illumination in the entire room now comes from the stone hearth, located across the worn floorboards. The fire has burned down to its final, most intimate stage. There are no flames, only a quiet, pulsing bed of deep, cherry-red embers, dusted with a fine, ghostly powder of pale grey ash. The light it casts is incredibly weak, a low, dusky, horizontal glow that barely reaches the middle of the room. It does not illuminate, it merely suggests the shapes of the furniture, turning the heavy wooden desk and the high-backed chair into soft, comforting shadows. The embers cast a gentle, rhythmic warmth that beckons you to come closer, to leave the cold stone of the window behind, and to seek your final rest. You turn away from the curtain, wrapping the thick, heavy wool of your tartan shawl more tightly around your chest, and you begin the slow, silent walk across the room. Your leather-soled shoes sink quietly into the thick, faded pile of the Persian rug, muting your footsteps entirely. You move with a deeply pleasant sluggishness, your body feeling the immense, wonderful weight of natural fatigue. Every muscle is loose, every joint is relaxed. The tension of the long day of study, the intellectual effort, the focus, it has all evaporated into the heavy, beeswax-scented air. You are simply a body now, moving slowly through the dark, seeking a place to lie down. In the far corner of the room, tucked away behind the massive oak desk, and partially shielded by a heavy wooden screen, is your sleeping alcove. It is not a separate room, but a deeply private, designated space within the study, designed specifically to capture and hold the warmth of the fire. As you approach it, you step off the edge of the Persian rug, and your shoes make contact with the bare, polished floorboards. The wood groans softly beneath your weight, a low, familiar, drawn-out creak that sounds like a final, gentle lullaby from the ancient building. You stop at the edge of the alcove, standing in the deepest shadows of the room, and prepare to leave the waking world behind. Slowly, deliberately, you reach up and uncross your arms, letting the heavy wool shawl slip from your shoulders. You catch it in one hand as it falls, feeling the immense, comforting weight of the fabric. You fold it over the back of a small, wooden chair that sits beside the bed, the coarse wool settling with a soft, muted sigh. Next, you remove your tweed jacket. You pull your arms from the sleeves one by one, feeling the sudden, slight coolness of the room against the thin cotton of your shirt, a contrast that only serves to make the idea of the bed even more inviting. You drape the jacket neatly over the shawl, smoothing the heavy lapels in the dark. You sit down on the edge of the small chair to remove your shoes. You reach down, your fingers finding the stiff leather laces. You untie them slowly, pulling the laces loose, and slide the heavy leather shoes from your feet. The relief is instant and profound. Your feet, confined in the stiff leather all day, expand slightly, enjoying the sudden freedom. You place the shoes carefully on the floor, their leather soles clicking softly against the wood. You are left wearing only your soft, thick woolen socks, your cotton shirt, and your trousers. The layers of the formal, scholarly day have been stripped away, leaving you ready for the simple, universal act of sleep. You turn to face the bed. It is a high, sturdy piece of furniture, built from solid, dark mahogany, its 4 thick posts rising up into the shadows like the trunks of ancient trees. The bed is designed to be a fortress within a fortress, a final, unassailable place of comfort. You reach out and place your hand on the mattress. It is incredibly thick, stuffed with horsehair and wool, and topped with a luxurious, incredibly soft feather bed that yields instantly to the slight pressure of your hand. You can feel the distinct, crisp texture of the linen sheets that cover the bed. These are not modern, synthetic sheets. They are unbleached linen, woven on a loom, heavy and slightly coarse to the touch, yet profoundly clean and comforting. They hold the scent of the college laundresses, a faint, clean aroma of pure soap, fresh air, and dried lavender that has been pressed into the fabric with heavy, hot irons. It is a scent that immediately signals to your brain that this is a place of purity and rest. The bed has been turned down for you, the thick, heavy layers of blankets pulled back, waiting to receive you. You step out of your slippers, feeling the cool, polished wood of the floorboards against the soles of your feet for just a fraction of a second. before you lift your leg and climb into the high bed. The physical sensation of entering this bed is exquisite. As you shift your weight onto the mattress, you sink deeply into the glorious, billowing softness of the feather bed. It rises up around your hips and your shoulders, cradling your body perfectly, adjusting instantly to your shape. You swing your legs up and lie back, letting your head fall onto the pillows. The pillows are massive, stuffed tight with goose down, covered in the same crisp, clean linen. As your head sinks into them, the fabric rustles loudly in your ears, a dry, clean rushing sound that quickly muffles the remaining quiet noises of the room. The pillow supports your neck beautifully, aligning your spine, taking the immense, heavy weight of your head completely. You let out a long, slow, deeply satisfied sigh, your breath warming the cool air just above your face. You reach down into the darkness at the foot of the bed and grasp the edge of the blankets. You pull them up, slowly, over your legs, over your hips, over your chest, bringing them all the way up to your chin. The weight of these coverings is magnificent. Beneath a layer of soft, woven wool is a massive, heavy down quilt. It does not simply lie on top of you, it presses down upon you, a gentle, even, distributed weight that grounds your body entirely. It feels like a long, sustained, deeply comforting embrace. The crisp linen sheets initially feel cool against your skin, pulling the heat from your tired body, but within moments, the incredible insulating power of the down quilt begins to work. The heat radiating from your body is trapped beneath the heavy layers, reflected back to you, creating a perfectly warm, intensely cozy microclimate. You can feel the warmth slowly seeping into your toes, relaxing the arches of your feet, loosening your calves, and sinking deep into the muscles of your thighs. You let your legs fall slightly apart, your feet rolling outward, releasing the very last bits of tension stored in your hips. You bring your arms up, resting your hands lightly on your chest, just beneath the heavy fold of the quilt. You can feel the slow, steady, rhythmic rising and falling of your own breathing beneath the blankets. It is a slow, deeply relaxed pace, in and out. The air you draw into your lungs is cool and fresh, carrying the scent of the lavender linens, the distant memory of the beeswax candle, and the dry, sweet dust of the ancient library. The air you exhale is warm and soft. With every breath you take, your body sinks just a millimeter deeper into the featherbed, the mattress yielding completely to your weight. You turn your head very slightly on the pillow, looking out from the alcove, across the vast, dark expanse of the study, toward the hearth. The fire is truly dying now. It is nothing more than a faint, red pulse in the absolute darkness. As you watch one of the last remaining embers, a tiny, glowing piece of charred oak gives way. It breaks apart with a sound so soft it is barely a whisper, a tiny shh, and collapses into the grey ash. The red glow dims instantly, plunging the room into an even deeper, softer velvet darkness. The room is perfectly still. The college is perfectly silent. The 19th century night has completely taken over. You let your eyes drift shut. The darkness behind your eyelids is identical to the darkness of the room. There is no separation anymore between you and the quiet space around you. You are safe. You are incredibly warm. You are entirely at peace. Your mind, which had been so active, so full of thoughts and words and historical texts, is now beautifully, wonderfully blank. There is nothing left to think about. There is no tomorrow to worry over. There is only the heavy, comforting weight of the quilt, the softness of the pillow, and the slow, rhythmic pull of the dark tide of sleep, gently carrying you away from the shore of waking consciousness, out into the deep, quiet, untroubled waters of rest. And so, my friend, we leave the scholar there, resting peacefully in the deep, heavy silence of the 19th century. We leave them entirely safe, wrapped in their linen and wool, protected by the ancient stone walls, lost in a dreamless, restorative sleep. The fire has burned out, The candles are cold, and the night has claimed the college. Slowly, gently, I want you to bring your awareness back. But do not bring it back to the waking world. Bring it back to your own world, to your own time, to the physical reality of the bed you are resting in right now. Feel the mattress beneath your own body. Feel the way it supports you, just as the feather bed supported the scholar. Feel the fabric of your own pillowcases against your cheek. Feel the weight of your own blankets resting across your chest and your legs. The materials may be different, the century may have changed, but the fundamental, deeply human experience of seeking comfort in the dark remains exactly the same. Just as they closed their eyes, so have you. Just as they felt the deep, pleasant exhaustion in their muscles, so do you. Just as they surrendered to the quiet of the night, so are you surrendering now. The modern world outside your window may be different from the cobblestones of Oxford, but it does not matter. The night is the great equalizer. The darkness outside your room is the exact same darkness that held the ancient college. The stars hidden behind your clouds are the exact same stars that shone down on those Gothic spires. For thousands of years, across all of human history, people have come to the end of their day, put down their tools, cleared their desks, and climbed into their beds, seeking the exact same peace that you are feeling in this very moment. There is a profound, beautiful comfort in knowing that you are part of this unbroken, endless chain of rest. You are not alone in the night. You are sharing this moment with every person who has ever lived, every tired soul who has ever sought the safety of a quiet room and the warmth of a heavy blanket. The worries of your day, the stresses of your modern life, they are just temporary shadows. They belong to the waking hours. Here, in the dark, they have no power. Here, in the dark, you are allowed to simply exist. You are allowed to be completely still. You are allowed to let go. I want you to take a slow, deep breath in, drawing the quiet air of your room deep into your lungs, filling your chest completely. Hold it for just a gentle moment, feeling the stillness within you, and then, slowly, softly let it go. Exhale completely, pushing out the last, lingering remnants of the day. Feel your shoulders drop just a fraction further into the mattress. Feel your jaw relax, your lips parting slightly, your tongue resting softly behind your teeth. Feel the tiny muscles around your eyes smoothing out, the heavy, comforting darkness pressing gently against your eyelids. Let the relaxation travel down your body, a slow, warm wave of peace. Feel it flow down your neck, releasing any tension in your throat. Let it spread across your collarbones, down through your arms, past your elbows, your wrists, all the way into the palms of your hands and the tips of your fingers. Your arms are incredibly heavy. They are sinking into the bed, completely devoid of energy, resting exactly where they lie. Feel the warmth travel down your spine, unlocking every vertebrae, allowing your back to melt completely into the surface beneath you. Feel the heavy, grounded sensation in your hips. Let that profound relaxation pour down your legs, soothing your thighs, your knees, your calves, all the way down into your ankles, your heels, and the very tips of your toes. Your entire body is completely relaxed. It is a heavy, warm, magnificent weight, anchored safely to the earth, entirely supported by your bed. The room around you is quiet. The air is still. There is nothing left for you to do. The desk of your mind has been entirely cleared. The inkwell is closed. The books are shut. The candle has been snuffed out. You have entered the deepest, most peaceful part of the night. You are completely safe. You are deeply loved. You are exactly where you are supposed to be, floating gently in the quiet space between today and tomorrow. Allow my voice to become nothing more than a faint, distant murmur, blending into the quiet hum of the silence around you. Allow your thoughts to dissolve into the dark, soft, velvet texture of the night. Drift away on the slow, rhythmic tide of your own breathing. Drift down, down, into the deepest, most restorative rest. Surrender entirely to the peace of the night. Let go completely. Sleep well, my friend. Good night.